Hello everyone. Namaste. Konnichiwa.
こんにちは。
Today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Ume-san. So actually in Japan we call San as an honorary title instead of Mr. Umis. And he has been working as a strategist from last more than 15 years, and he has worked with many corporates across the globe, and he has traveled so many countries, and he has explored so many cultures, and he has worked in finance industry, IT industry, and right now he's working in one of the most advanced IT projects as a strategist. So let's welcome him and hear the Japanese story.
Thank you, President. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm so honored. My name is Ume, and I was born in Japan, and I developed myself as a really interpreter of English and Japanese. And now I'm so keen to develop my knowledge and network to all over the world. So I really respect Prashant's work and everyone's interest. Thank you so much for today.
So guys, today we will going to talk about the Japanese political system, the foundation of the Japanese political system, how it started, the history, the present, and everything which is happening right now. So before we start, let's talk about the historical aspect,
Yeah.
Ume-san. So actually, before World War II, Japan already had the democratic system, right?
Yeah.
In the Meiji era.
Yes.
So, can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. So Japan is well known as a really the central controlled country for the World War II by a military power. However, and also at the time the emperor was deemed as and defined as a god. So, and so the historically there are 8 million gods in religious aspects from the legend and myth, and the emperor was deemed as a top controller of the 8 million gods. So, in the name of the religious aspects, everyone, all the people were under control of the emperor's power. However, before World War II, as learning from the global cultures and also the histories and the politic structures, Japan also implemented some of the democracy things. So it was developed from the Meiji era and the Taisho and Showa era. That was so much true. However, it was in a very step by step, and Japan is a really special country, and having emperor as a really special position today.
Ume-san, like you shared that emperor holds a very important position in the Japanese political system, correct?
Right.
So after World War II, does emperor had any power?
Oh, that's a very good question. Thank you. Thank you for America. After they conquered in Japan, they landed and they drafted Constitution of Japan from scratch.
Okay, so that means the Japanese constitution is not drafted by the Japanese people themselves, but the American people.
Right. Yeah. So that's still controversial. And when it comes to emperor's position, they had there was no room for Japanese people to make some objection or some inputs or control. At first, Japanese temporary American government allowed Japanese group to make some draft, but it didn't have any differences from the former constitution. So American temporary government took over them. Then still one strong request came from Japan's side. That was for our emperor, because well, there should be some possibility to completely eliminate the structure of emperor's family out of Japan, the country Japan. However, upon the history of the 1,500 years as a psychological pillar or political pillar in the history, complete removal from the political structure or country structure would have the the predictable impact quality. So the conclusion was that in the new constitution, emperor was positioned as a symbol without power, but a symbol, important position as a symbol of the unification and a representation of the culture of Japan.
Interesting. So that means the emperor's position is still there in the society as a central figure, but he doesn't hold any power.
Emperor has a special role to welcome and communicate and to keep the relationship with the external governments and royal families, and also so to show our respect to the other cultures, other countries. So the emperor has the very cultural role, and also he makes the announcement of the start and the start of the diet cabinet works, and also makes the assignment of the prime minister. So that's a very ceremony things, but we really respect that, and we are proud of that culture.
This question. So how does the Japanese political system has been created? So in terms of local, the state, the central, and then how does the elections happen in the country? So can you share a little bit more about that?
Okay, yeah. So there are probably the 3 layers, in a very simplified form. So at the local level, like a city or a village or towns level, so diets are there. Normally located in a building of the city office.
So let me explain my viewers. So the city office is basically the head office for any local city or town in Japan. And that city office is where all the local politicians, they sit and they administer that area.
Right, yeah, thank you.
Yes, so please go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, and that is for all cities. And the next level is a prefecture level. As you know, there are 47 prefectures, including Tokyo or metropolitan, and Hokkaido or Kyoto or Osaka or wherever. Yeah.
And the prefecture is nothing but, you can say, another synonym like a state. So for example, in India we call states and territories. So in Japan we call prefectures.
Yeah, thank you. And then national diet. So and national diet consists of the 2 houses. So one is the house of councillors. That is really the equivalent to the upper house. And the other is a house of representatives.
How many number of years does the election happen in the local lower house and the upper house?
Yeah, so it's basically the every 4 years. But sometimes the disbandment or dissolution happens in some cases. Then it will be the election happens in the middle of the tenure or one period of time, but in 4 years. But every 4 years.
So that means every 4 years the local representative gets changed, and every 4 years the prime minister also gets changed.
Well, yeah, normally the is basically selected from the House of Representatives.
That means the upper house. Lower house.
Yeah, and rotates in every 4 years.
Okay.
But so that after once the new members are House of Representatives, then new cabinet is formed by the prime minister, and before that, the new members, new seats of the House of Representatives, the one person to be selected as a prime minister.
Okay, interesting.
So the selection of the prime minister is not by the House of Councillors, the upper house.
So that means the prime minister is not selected by the local people, but the local people, they select the House of Representatives, and they further choose. What are the major political parties in Japan? So you said Liberal Democratic Party is one. What are the other political parties?
Sure. Yeah. So the cabinet, so the cabinet side is the Liberal or Democratic Party, LDP. I think they have the more than half of the seat. So they have enough power to control and pass the political policies. And the main counterpart is the Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan. Formerly, well, they called themselves as a Democratic Party of Japan. Once they took over the power from LDP once, but they didn't do well. So it was flipped all over again. So but now LDP is head commonly without enough power to win the election campaign by themselves. So now Komeito, they are relatively smaller, but they have the really strong fundamental of the supporter in Japan. So they also support the LDP as well. So the LDP and Komeito are getting together to accelerate the capitalism based and midway based the politics.
So Umesan, so there's a Komeito Party, Democratic Party, Liberal Democratic Party, and I've also heard that Japan also has a Communist Party, correct?
Right, yeah.
And it's very strange for me. I've been in Japan from last almost 6 years, and I can definitely say that Japanese people are not communist in their ideology. More than average are very capitalistic.
Okay.
Maybe I'm living in Tokyo, so that's why I can say that, but majority of the Japanese people are like that. So does Communist Party has any power in Japan, or do they have any influence in the Japanese political system?
Yeah, at a certain level, because they try to other parties try to do so as well, but the Japanese Communist Party strongly oppose and appeals that they are supported for the really ordinary people or really the struggling people in Japan nowadays. But other parties were trying to do that, except LDP. LDP were not so supportive for the ordinary people struggling, or people in Japan. So because in Japan, in the really the decades of the history, we had really struggles of the about pollution or really economic gaps or something like that. So actually LDP since 1955, they were really supporting the top and really the rich companies and the rich individuals. But eventually, And really, especially after Kometo joined to LDP, well, more really support for the young students or really the struggling people or struggling small businesses were expanded from my point of view. But at the same time, Japanese communist parties are not having power, but they elicit the voices from the ordinary people and the struggling people, and they are from the counter side. Well, they make the really strong voices in the the diet, and also or they make the really special research to point out the bad things of the really the powerful politicians or something like that. So I think their presence is at a certain level in Japan. Not majority, but yeah. So well, most of Japanese people are not believing that the communism would fit in the 21st century, and especially in Japan. Well, or they want to read the financial freedom, but they want to be successful, and they don't want to be in hunger or in a rigid bankruptcy or something like that. So, well, I think that including the Japanese Communist Party or really the small parties like Komeito or Nippon Ishin no Kai, they are really the
fastest growing political party in Japan.
It's a very aging society. So much aging. So naturally the announcement or manifesto or for the policies are really the leaning on the and also the really towards the aging people and the younger generations, and especially the 40s and 50s are left, and they think themselves as left by society, by politics. So there are many but terrorism, including the recent
assassination,
event,
which happened to Abe San.
Yeah.
In fact, I was about to come to that topic that Abe San is one of the longest serving prime minister in Japan, one of the most respected Japanese politician across the globe, and I think loss of Abe San was the greatest loss to the entire Japanese political system, because he was the one who had a great vision about Japan. He actually gave Quad. He had the vision of Quad, where he really wanted to establish the Indo-Pacific strategy in the geopolitical strategy. And then he was the one who actually strengthened the military system in Japan. And then he was the one who actually brought a lot of relaxation policies for foreigners in the visa, in terms of getting jobs and also in terms of doing the startups. So he actually had a great vision about Japan. In fact, I remember I was working on one big project in my company for creating business and risk strategies for Olympics. And that time I was reading a lot of research papers, and that's where I came across that Abe San. He had this vision that he wanted to create a Japan by 2060 where out of 3, 1 is a foreigner. So he was imagining that global society in Japan. And he felt that because Japan is aging so much, foreigners are the one biggest influx which can actually come into the society.
Yep.
And they can build the economy, they can build the society, and there are a lot of foreigners who love Japan because of the great soft culture of the anime which Japan holds across the globe, and also at the same time Japan's cultural and history which people really admire. So I guess Japan had a very special place in the geopolitics, and also at the same time very important place in the economic growth, I would say.
I see.
So I mean, would you like to share more about Abe San? How was he as a politician perceived in the Japanese society, and what was his tenure?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for your kind understanding about Japan and Abe-san. So, I'm really surprised because almost all Japanese people are really surprised at how he's respected by the all of the world except Japan. And we see them, we see ourselves really under the control of media, because Abe-san, our image of Abe-san is really aggressive and using power and military. So that he's a big military supporter, and he was going to play back the World War II and conquer the Asian
Countries.
Asian countries again. So that was suspicion from the media, and also especially the East Asian countries. Some people or in East Asian countries. So, and also from the suspicion, the media and also the left side, left wings, so to speak, try to make a negative image put onto Abe-san about that kind of really hoax, the military hoax, and also really and really stick to the power, retaining his own power or something like that. So, and at the same time, we knew from the news, very limited news in Japan, but he was good at making the good connection with the leaders globally.
You know, one thing I want to add to that, Ume-san, that one thing which was very special about Abe-san was that he was very much well rooted into his roots, that he really understands the Japanese culture, he really understands the Japanese nationalism, he really understands the Japanese history, and he really respects that. But at the same time, he was a leader who was local but a very global in his mindset. So, you know, whichever country he went, he really respected that country's culture. He really became part of that country.
Whoa.
So when he visited India, you see his pictures, you see his talks, you see his videos. He really looks like Indian. The way he respects the culture, the way he respects, you know, that the political system back in those countries where he's visiting. So it's really, you know, like a great quality that he had. And I guess it's very rare to see a leader who is very local but at the same time a very global citizen in his vision. Yeah.
I see. Well, that's very new to the Japanese people. I'm learning so much from you about Abe-san, Japanese leader. So now we're realizing that that was a big loss. But not about the assassination to the really one of the most famous politicians, but we're losing the one era.
Exactly.
Yeah, and yeah.
But I hope his work continues. I hope his vision continues. That is really very important. Whatever work he has started, whatever policies he has created, they should continue further. That is more important. But I mean, I was really very surprised that Japanese society, there was no one who was discussing about his death on the day it happened. I remember I was going around in the trains around Tokyo. I met so many friends that day, and I met so many Japanese friends, and I was talking to them about Abe-san. No one was interested to talk about him. And in fact, the Japanese society, they did not even created any mourning day or any sort of a national, you know, holiday something in respect of him. Instead, India, when India got to know about that thing, so our Prime Minister Modi, he created the National Mourning Day on the very next day on his assassination in terms of his respect. So I mean, it was very, very distressful to, you know, to see that how come the Japanese local people, they don't even bother to think about him.
Yeah, so I see. So now, in very recent news, even today, it's very controversial that the Kishida-san, the current prime minister, announced the in autumn, there will be the national funeral for Abe-san. But now it's so much controversial. Why national? Even the good things are not announced or in the news. Even the good policies or good support from the government or local governments are enforced, like more money will be given. But at the same time, bad things are announced, and in the city, they make interview. How do you make objection to this policy, and are you satisfied with this or something? I'm not satisfied or something. So the bad voices are collected. So in Japan, good news are not on the air. So and also it probably there should be some mentality amongst people and also the media that we can't or we shouldn't make it personal. So the personal opinions are really we are so hesitant to make the personal opinion onto the religious things or political things, or for sport it's okay. But yeah, other things are really we are so much careful with each other.
Sharing the political opinion,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So let me share with my viewers. So actually in India, the way we discuss politics so openly, in Japan it's really rare.
Really.
Out of 100, you may find one person to actually talk politics so openly. 99% people, they don't prefer to talk about politics. They would prefer to talk about either food or either sports or either cultures. So these are the things that they talk about mostly.
Right, yeah. So the people are so scared to make the political opinions or listen to the political opinions at the office, for example.
Can I add one thing? So does the media in Japan is actually controlled by the leftist ideology?
Well, they are, in many cases, they are against the current power cabinet.
So majority of the media is actually opposing the current cabinet's work.
Against.
Rather than being central, sharing the facts, they share opinions.
It's my personal view, but it's said, it's commonly said, and also I follow the opinion. So the media are trying to be in the midway, so neutral. However, they are against because they are not making the good things enforced by the cabinet or by the government side. So that's unfair to me, because people are not realizing the government is making this country better and better. People are thinking, they are just pulling out of the money from our tax, our paid tax, and just they are selfish. They are not making good things for the people, but actually they do. This country is developing, however, it's not announced to the people.
Local public.
Yeah, local public. So that means this country gets hopeless. This is the biggest problem, I think.
It's, at present it's kind of a similar back in India also, that the current government, they do so many great stuff. Of course, they also do some bad shit also.
Yeah.
They also make some bad decisions. It's very much natural. Every politician is a human being in the end. He's not a god. He would be making mistakes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he would also be doing a lot of great stuff. But no one talks about the great stuff.
Right.
Everyone is just focused on criticizing, creating riots in India, and at the same time creating so many political disharmony, I would say, back in India. There is a very famous politician back in India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. He's one of the most respected Prime Minister. He said one very great thing, which I completely agree with him. And that is also my personal ideology, that governments will come and go, but the country should remain.
Yeah.
Because in the end, the governments are working for the sake of the people. They're working for the sake of the country.
Right.
So when a political party comes into the power, so opposition rather than keeps opposing everything, even though it is good, they should work together with the ruling party in order to support to them and make the country progress and grow. But it actually works vice versa. No matter whatever they do, they will keep opposing everything. So that's a very criminal ideology, I would say.
Yeah.
Because in the end, you're just working to gain the power.
Exactly.
You are not working for the people.
Yes.
And you're just manipulating people's minds, that's it.
Yeah, that's very important point. So we see the same problem in the different countries.
And I guess it is important that everyone should vote.
Right.
And everyone should participate in the democratic system. Because it's a privilege to vote.
Exactly.
And also at the same time, it's a duty to vote.
Right.
It's not only a right. I mean, if you ask for the rights, then you should also know about your duties as a citizen of the country.
For that.
And let me also share with the viewers that Japan was one of the countries which had no lockdown during the entire pandemic, and yet they managed the pandemic really well during the entire 2.5 or 3 years, and even till now things are really good. And I hope things remain safe and things remain good across the world for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, so Abe-san was the most respected prime minister. So then what was the reason that he got assassinated? I mean, it's really very shocking, not for me, but not only for me, but also for the entire world. So can you also share a little bit what was the reason behind it about that guy who assassinated Abe-san?
Yeah.
And what is his story?
Okay, yeah. So it's still in the investigation. So the background is being investigated. So I'm hesitant to make the really definitive answers and the information to the audiences and you. But it's said there is a connection between Abe-san and there's one of the big religious groups came from Korea, originally from Korea, and the guy assassinated Abe-san. He had a really severe problems in his family. It said, and particularly his mother made a donation so much the over 150 million yen
本当だよ。
to the religious group, and without taking care of anything about her family members. So that guy had to quit the schools, and also his elder brother made suicide, and many other tragedies in his family. Yeah, it's in the news. just from the public information.
Okay.
But so and he believed Abe-san as the advocate who expanded so much the religious group to the Japan society and in politically in private sectors as well. And so he thought his mother, who destroyed his family entirely, was that tragedies are from because of the Abe-san's the power he believed. So he wanted to revenge, but not the religious group. He was considering to do so, but eventually he determined himself to kill.
I hope things remain safe, and I hope Abe-san's family remains safe.
I hope so too.
Yeah, and they quickly recover from the loss of Abe-san's. And I hope Abe-san's work continues further, and his vision continues further in Japan. And I hope his policies continues further in terms of geopolitics across Indo-Pacific and across the globe. And I wish all the best for Japan's success and the growth.
Yeah.
And I'm also dedicated towards that one particular cause by being working in Japan from last 3.5 years. So yes.
Yeah, thank you. Well, so the most important thing we share is that the hope is really powerful again. Yeah. So by making complaints to the society or the parties or really the atmosphere of the society and the city structures and neighborhood or people at the office, friends, families, well, complaints are easy to make. However, hope and encouragement together each other is very much more important. So without encouragement and empowerment, well, probably society dies. No matter what kind of the great politic parties or the policies are under enforcement, the people are the fact. So the no matter what kind of the policy are there, well, how we run and how we develop and how we enforce each other in a positive way is most important. So yeah, let's keep this kind of the dialogue for the real, the positive and the hopeful path towards the future. Thank you, President.
Thank you so much, Ome-san, for
Thank
your
you,
time
President.
today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you so much, our viewers, to really watch this podcast. And I hope you learned a lot today about Japanese political system, the election system, and also the reason why Abe-san was assassinated, and also really learn about his legacy, his work, and his vision. And I hope his work and legacy really continues further, and Japan really prospers and truly grows as one of the most dynamic economy, and also one of the country which really work towards the world peace. So thank you so much, and thank you for listening our podcast till now. 本当にありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。Stay positive.
Thank you.
Thank you.